just maybe like realware, we've had a lot of data talk today. So I'm more from the user side of things. So we present our solution called Cognitwin. So how mainly presenting about how we are helping our customers gain better insights using the data that we've been talking about all day. Enable smarter, safer and greener operations by solving real customer pain points. So we are constantly interacting directly with the end users to understand their pain points. But also just being humble here, there is no one single company that can solve all these problems. So we also solve these problems by partnering with various companies at various different points. So Cognitwin itself enables smarter decision making and reduces the work cycle time, often reducing the need for on-site personnel, which is kind of similar to realware, but this is because of a different use case. It was more that's more for the field personnel, whereas this is more for the remote expert who is sitting at a computer, has access to all the information that he or she needs, right? And we also know that energy industry is data rich. We talked about that a lot, but we also realize that the majority of that data, 90% of industrial data, is yet to be utilized actually. So we collect a lot of data, but we are not using it, but all the companies here are trying to do just that, is get that data to be utilized. And we are helping in same. What I want to also present is that this is not a new journey for us. So already we have a lot of customers on board on this solution, and down below I'm saying there nearly most of our customers have experienced actually 30% increase in productivity. So that's a big deal by accessing useful information very efficiently. And you'll see kind of I have a video that I can share how the solution looks like, and also making data-driven decisions quickly. And also one more point I wanted to mention was the 15% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions that we have enabled by leveraging models analytics, which is also in our DNA. We've been doing models analytics for nearly 30 years actually in the company, so we've kind of clubbed those solutions into this as well. Right. So yeah, this is again nothing new. I think one part I would like to say is, even though we were presented in the long chain from Acuvate as part of the visualization piece, just like I think other companies as well, we do overlap in other areas. So it's not like we are not working with data, we are aggregating data, we are contextualizing it, all of that. So this slide is just highlighting that fact, but that does not mean we want to kind of monopolize, right? Some places, other companies doing a better job, so we like to partner with that company, and other places no solutions exist, then we can do certain level of data aggregation ourselves. So here I'm talking about mainly contextualization. On the left hand side you see a lot of places, the current situation where you have many different systems which are disparate. Of course they are really efficient in that particular solution that the IT systems solve that problem with. And you can see the names, I'm sure you can relate to the names, abbreviations there. And then the majority of the burden of integrating that data or connecting the dots is with the operators or the field person who are looking at all these various systems and then trying to make sense. So that burden we want to reduce, and also I think there are many other confusing points. For example, different systems having duplication of data. Sometimes you have the same data in different systems and then trying to make sense if it does not match. So all of that sits in the human mind there. On the right hand side is what Cognitwin is trying to do with that data, is to contextualize that data and reduce that burden from that human mind to actually connect the dots and present that data in a single source of truth kind of manner. So that's what Cognitwin is doing, is by simplifying the data connectivity. And this slide, I'm summarizing what Cognitwin is all about. We call it we actually call it an industrial work surface and not a digital twin anymore. And the reason being is it is not like digital twin, of course, as we've defined, it's a digital replica of something, right? Something physical. But just having a digital replica doesn't do more than, it is still a lot of benefit by having access to something that you don't have to actually go on site for. So there's a lot of benefits there, but we are taking one step further where we want the user to engage with their day-to-day work in this interface as well. So, and what we have achieved so far, if you see the starting point on the left-hand side, we have a single environment for all your assets, which is typically visualized on a world map. And from there, you could dive into specific asset. That's the next area where you actually visualize the whole asset, in addition to having access to all integrated data and contextualize. So if you find a vessel or a pump or a valve, you should be able to access any data that pertains to it, as long as, again, this is not manual work. We have using rules, contextualizing and connecting all that data and making that accessible from that view. And again, does not need to be 3D all the time. Some assets don't have 3D, so then it can also be accessed through 2D plot plans or PMIDs and such. But anywhere you see the tag, you should be able to access information from that tag. So that's that, and then you can dive. The next level is, of course, diving down into an actual equipment piece, and there the other circles are showing you how they can then fly to PNIDs and open PNIDs and actually correlate. It's not like trying to find from a bunch of documents where this exists. So you can jump straight to it, and also some other screenshots here that I'm showing that show the information in an inspector kind of pop-up view for each tag, where you can access documents, real-time data, all in one location, mainly enabling more analysis of a problem that you are facing. And lastly, the last layer, if I can summarize, is the models and analytics piece. And again, here, as I said, we have a long heritage in simulation industry as well. So what we have managed to do is develop a framework that integrates simulation tools into this twin solution. And by integration, I'm saying it is also one-to-one corresponding, so you can jump back and forth, so it serves the purpose for a simulation expert, as well as it elevates these kind of simulation models as engines available for analysis for people who do not understand simulation but would like to leverage those models which are kind of blessed by the experts. So that's what we're doing by integrating simulation there. And one more thing to add there, even though we have our in-house tools for certain things like these, we do understand the situation in the market that we cannot really push our tools onto everybody just because we have this industrial work surface. So we work with existing technologies that are in-house as well, that if they are okay and they are working fine, we don't want to really replace them. And we leverage their existing models and use that for the analytics in the solution. One more way I can describe Cognitive Twin is really these three core building blocks, as you see in these circles. So one piece, of course, is data, and I cannot say enough about data. There's really data is the most important part. You don't have good data, it's pretty much anything you build on top of it is rubbish, which was true even in our software programming, right? Bad data in, bad data out. So that's very much applies here as well. So data is a very important piece, but the part that I'm highlighting here in that circle is the ability to, again, connect all the different data sources and make sense from single tagging perspective. In our industry, tag is really the main identifier. So once you have the tag, you should be able to get any kind of data that relates to that tag. That's one way of seeing things. The second piece is visualization. So again, bringing data together in a tabular format is one way, but really the more intuitive form of interacting with data would be if you see it as you see it in the field, right? That's the best way, of course. And the second best way would be more familiar documents like PMIDs or something like that. So we need to kind of combine the ability to make it more intuitive. And the third piece I already highlighted, which is the models that we are integrated. And one piece that I didn't mention about models is we are also bringing in, so if you have a model of a facility, we are executing that model in real time, 24/7, in sync with the facility. So there are certain sensors that we utilize, but the model is constantly adapting to your operations at all times. And what then that gives you is kind of virtual understanding of, hey, what's my flow here? Even if I don't have flow transmitter, you should be able to jump into this model and see how much flow is going through. If it's split flow, how much is splitting across, right? So very simple example, but there are many other things that you can gain from these models. On top of these three core blocks, what we are building is this orchestration and workflow engine, and that is what is going to allow us to digitally stitch all the workflows into this environment. And by that I mean and I think I have an example later, but just the end-to-end workflow. If you start from identifying a problem in the facility, for example, maybe it's a leak, right from that stage, from recording that leak, all the way to fixing that leak and closing off that work completely, that whole track has to be digitalized. And there are a few reasons for it. One of the major reasons that we are after this is that because most of people here, I think, understand that our final holy grail is automation, but that's not achieved overnight. So at least first piece of that puzzle for us is to visualize the process, and then find pieces of those processes which are very very trivial, where you really don't need human intervention, and start automating those pieces first. And eventually we might find certain processes which can be fully automated as well. So, but that's the first step we are taking, is to digitalize this whole workflow end to end. And yeah, this slide I've added just because I think I feel really proud where we have come in our journey so far. So just to summarize, we have more than 50 complex facilities deployed with this solution, and this covers the whole facility. So it's not limited to a specific train or any of that sort of specific kind of data. But also, I think coming back down to earth, it's not solving every problem yet. This is kind of a digitalization journey for our clients as well. So even though we have reached a level where we have unlocked a lot of value, we do see that there are still potentially many other problems that could be addressed through this platform, and that's what we are after. We have currently nearly 25,000 industrial users, so that's a big ask as well. So to develop a solution that not only makes sense for one user or one asset, but to make sense for all assets for a client, and to make sense for multiple clients with multiple assets, that's the biggest challenge. And I think in that respect, it is really the partnership with our clients that is helping us as well. It's not us sitting in a corner in one room that's just coming up with, hey, this works and this will be okay with everybody. That's never going to happen. So we in fact also have an advisory council that has been set up with our existing clients or enterprise clients that sit together, and we kind of look at wherever we find problems. Hey, this is not standard, you guys work a different way. So this is part of this business transformation or digital transformation that we talk about, and we are at the heart of it, because to change processes, sometimes even for the better, has a huge inertia and people don't want to change. So that part also is something that we're trying to solve through this. Also, with the experience that we've gained so far, I'm also happy to say that we typically unlock value within 3 months of starting these kind of deployments. And again, this is enabled. I'm not saying that this is possible on any asset. At least some level of data availability and data preparation has to be there. But if that's in place, then 3 months is where we unlock the value. So yeah. And here's a video of how our solution looks like. So this is one of the assets that is a digital twin, a complete 3D model performant in a web browser setting. Is bring up an inspector, we call it, immediate access to your IT/OT data. moving around seamlessly with menus that are commonly accessible anywhere the tag comes in, jumping to piano IDs seamlessly. You can hotspot the piano IDs. You can also filter data. All this is possible because we are leveraging again all the metadata that comes with that data set. For example, one of the use cases that's showing here is we can isolate the whole 3D model based on what is on the PNID. So you get a spatial understanding of what the PNID represents in real life, because that's typically not so easy to correlate, right? Just one use case, but that's the kind of value that we're unlocking. And lastly, what I showed in the video now is cycling back, but we also have a central search facility that allows you to search any tag in the facility and then start looking at data very quickly. So that's very short. There are many other applications that have been developed on top of this integrated visualization and data platform, which I can talk about, but maybe we can take it later and you can meet us during the breaks. Lastly, I would like to finish off with this one slide. So this is that next step I was talking about that we're taking. We have all the data together. What's the next thing? So if you see the circle in the lower right hand side corner, that's what we are after. Starting from, and I'm not sure if it's readable, but the top icon there is identify, and then scope, and then plan and schedule and execute and close. This is kind of the few steps, if you will, of a process for anything really in operations. And we want to connect them seamlessly until you close it out. Again, I highlighted the advantages of this. One other advantage is actually so you can have ability to track progress of any of your work that's happening within digital twin. So if you are doing a turnaround project, for example, you could easily bubble up, hey, we are at 30% progress, and you can of course compare that with time. So, and also this screenshot that I'm showing is something that we are developing, which are persona-based cockpits. So these are your day-to-day way of working in this digital world. So you come in just like a airplane cockpit. You should be able to see if there are any anomalies happening in the plant. You should be able to act on them. You should be able to, of course, that's not in a plain cockpit example, but you should be able to assign them to other persona if that's not your job, but you know who can do that, and it slides over to their cockpit and so on and so forth. So it's all a connected way of working at all times. You can also see other highlights in these cockpit. This is one of the cockpits called Operations Cockpit. You can have access to all the existing meeting, shift teams, and all your current ongoing handover meetings and everything on the right hand side as well. And current shift ongoing as well, where people can put existing notes, and all those will be accessible in a central location. So this is something that's already being used on one of the assets, and we are learning more and more. You can see the design is based for mobile as well, so we are doing these cards which can also be customized from facility to facility, not just for oil and gas, but there are adjacent verticals that we are working towards as well. So that's, I think, my last slide, and I'll stop there, but I'll also take questions.
Any questions in the room? Yeah. I take this Mr. first.
Hey, earlier I saw you point out that it was web-based. Is there a mobile app as well, and a desktop app?
So this is a completely web deployed, so you basically go to a website, it's in the cloud of course, and it's single sign-on, all of that, right? So there's no desktop app.
So, because I'm thinking that some of the users for this are maintenance engineers, people that are out in the field, right? There's dead spots on the rig that don't have any internet connectivity. So how do you overcome that? Yeah, no, I know I talked to Pretty earlier. I'm worried.
The mobile app does not yet exist. It is being considered by companies to develop, but today technology is purely browser-based. But you're 100% correct.
100%.
100% for one single job.
No, not one at a time.
But it's being considered, but they realize the facility.
Very good.
My question is, when the digital twin is created, is it when the drawing, so like say the PNID that you showed, right? Is it as constructed? And if so, how do you deal with management of change? Because
Yeah.
it's always changed. So how do you ensure that the digital twin is updated?
That's actually a very good question, and it's a challenge to have data refreshed all the time. So, as I think mentioned only once during my talk, none of the things that I mentioned about contextualization and stuff are manual, right? These are automated pipelines set up. So we are ingesting data. So when there's fresh data, like PNIDs or documents, you drop them in one location, they're picked up overnight, they're contextualized, and the new documents will be available next day. So that's how it is in the, that's how we ingest new documents and get them available.
Documents are uploaded, does it upload then 3D representation as well?
That part is a puzzle, part of the puzzle that we have not completely automated yet, and that's a big piece, I know. But also, a lot of the clients, including Shell, is also after whether CAD is really, should we keep going CAD route, or is there a reality mesh that we should utilize? So there's a lot of ongoing innovation there. Also to mention, I guess, thanks to our partners like Shell, Chevron, we're also having innovation programs with them where they are investing time and money together with us to kind of investigate these other problems as well. So yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we're on the web.
That's also a little bit explained when all about what Acuvate and Cognitive do together. So we are working with Cognitive, which at the back over there is the partner lead for KDI Cognitive. So we've signed, we are signing an alliance partner agreement. There are two aspects in that. First is do full implementation of the end-to-end solution, so the cognitive tool plus the connectivity to the various data sources. We also make sure with the product team of Cognitive to fully integrate their solution with our Acuvate and our data platform. So they have a nice connection you showed it over there to make the whole implementation much easier and much faster than we can do today. So those are things we do together with Cognitive as we speak. Okay? Thank you. You now